Hello everyone, this is Plonko here, and today we will be answering the question: are dinosaurs really accurate? Now, this will go on to other extinct creatures and some extant creatures. First of all, let me give you the key of this graph. The blue line represents all our creatures and their height. Similarly, the yellow line represents those basically size estimates of how big the creature could get in certain communities, excluding individual variation. And then the red is the height of every single creature from real life, but on an upper estimate. Why did I exclude the average height or the average estimate and the lower estimate? Reason being, the lore of ARK is that all the creatures that we meet are basically creatures from the extinct world that are recreated at their maximum potential. That means smaller bipedal theropods, which all of them are bipedal, have a lower height than the upper estimate, and even sometimes they're way off the average too. For example, Dilophosaurus. Dilophosaurus in real life was a medium to small size carnivore, and the ARK Dilophosaurus is very small. So it's even smaller than the average estimate for a Dilophosaurus height. Another thing that you'll see in these graphs is the top predator, even apex predators, their heights are extremely exaggerated. For example, Carcharodontosaurus and Giganotosaurus, their heights were way less in real life than of ARKs. Even though currently this year and what shows next year, we will find bigger specimens of Giganotosaurus. Even with that, it won't ever reach the height that ARK shows, which is 18 meters. For example, cats, and you can see over here um, bats, cats, and direwolves, steppe bisons, coelenterates are very close to their actual height. Now, where this trend actually goes off a bit is with woolly mammoths, Dinotherium, and Paraceratops. And you also see that with a moderate relative of the Paraceratops, the Zungatherium. Is that these giant mammals are further exaggerated. And for the equus, the equus species in ARK is small because it doesn't represent the equus species that was meant to be. So another big jump is with the sauropods. Now, with the sauropods, I have to give a disclaimer that sauropod size and height, particularly, always varies as our understanding of sauropods increase. The ARK titanosaur, it looks like it's a hybrid between Argentinosaurus height and Brachiosaurus girth and length. Dreadnoughtus wasn't as big as Argentinosaurus, so its maximum height was lower than Argentinosaurus, closer to 20s and far away from 30s. So the ARK Dreadnoughtus is actually oversized. Brachiosaurus is a unique sauropod in the in the fact that it has a, a higher front limb and the back limbs, and it's very vertical compared to other sauropods. But even after that, it is not as tall as Brachiosaurus or Argentinosaurus. In reality, it would have been both shorter and less heftier than both of them. If they wanted a bigger sauropod that is a Brachiosaurus, I believe they should have named their giraffe a Titan. Next we have Diplodocus, which is actually really accurate to the real one. Next up we have Ledumahali, the biggest specimen of any basal sauropod, and it was 4 meters to the head and 4 to 3.5 meters. Now in game it's like 10 meters tall, which is inaccurate, but for the game it works really well. Seeing how like both Rhinoceros and Brachiosaurus are oversized, so the only sauropod which is actually smaller than its real life counterpart is Lyranosaurus, which is a sauropod. Then we have Mesospondylus, which is I believe, yeah, it is basal sauropod, and it's way too big, and it can't ever reach that height. One of the biggest outliers is Yiqi, which was a recent discovery from China of a very small avian dinosaur. And then we have Tyrannosaurus rex, which is closer to 10 meters, which is not possible. But looking at how over the years we have accumulated a lot of Tyrannosaurus rex specimens, and the more specimens we have, the more we have increased its girth, oversized mass, and length. And there is a winning argument that Tyrannosaurus rex could have been more taller than what we think it is right now. So that's possible. And looking at the future in paleontology, these hypertheropod and their average heights are actually increasing as the years pass. Perlovia is extremely big in ARK, and there's no way that it can even reach to the ARK height. Therizino's size is inaccurate because of its posture. Raptor in ARK is actually Citipede, so that's why I use Citipede's height. Now, Allosaurus in ARK is accurate because of Allosaurus annex, which is formerly known as Saurophagonex. Allosaurus annex is the biggest species of the genus Allosaurus. Gigantopithecus in ARK is postured like a human and bipedal all the time. And in real life, Gigantopithecus was actually like postured like a normal gorilla slash orangutan. One type of creature left, and they are crocodile And over here there's Caprosuchus, Sarcosuchus, Deinosuchus, and Phacelosuchus. So Phacelosuchus in the game is inaccurate, but seeing how crocodile and crocodile grow for their whole life, so it's actually highly possible that it might have grown to the ARK size, and that would have been the maximum, like the maximum potential most likely. If these creatures were still alive and in captivity, they might have grown even bigger, but passing that ARK size in wildlife in the real world would have been hard. And then we have Deinosuchus, which is accurate, Sarcosuchus accurate, and then Sarcosuchus and Caprosuchus. They're fairly accurate, and it's probable that they would have reached those heights in real life. ARK exaggerates the naturally exaggerated creatures like Giganotosaurus, which is way more bigger in ARK than the real life one. Same goes for the Tyrannosaurus rex, which is also bigger than the real life one. And this goes for some of the sauropods like Brontosaurus. However, herbivorous dinosaur Cenozoic creatures and synapsids are accurate. They may be a bit smaller than the real life one, but mostly they're accurate. For pterosaurs, It depends on natural variation in real life because the crest could grow bigger or a bit smaller, and of course these measurements are done to the height of the crest. And in ARK, there's pterosaurs have fixed crests, and they might be a bit smaller or a bit bigger. Now, some pterosaurs like the Cryptodragon are 17 to 18 times bigger in ARK, and mainly because of the exaggeration, ARK loses its accuracy points. And if you believe that I deserve a subscribe and you really found this video informative and everything, then subscribe.